red states are now banning fluoride in water. Now, I've got two video clips. One's talking about the arguments that are going on in Florida over this. Also, talking about this as the second state that's done it. Utah was the first. And then I've got another clip, and I got 10 minutes worth of clips, and I know it's a lot of watching, but the second clip is a doctor that is talking about fluoride in water, and mostly what she has to say is positive things about fluoride ending up in water. Okay, and it sounds good, and then she tells what happens if somebody doesn't monitor it correctly. And there's going to be those of you that go, well, of course they're going to monitor it. Well, think about Flint, Michigan. The water there, I don't know if they've ever fixed the water there, but the water there got to the point that it was so toxic it was taking people out. Yeah, that's the situation that we have when it comes to the water in our country. The people that are supposed to be monitoring it, I'm sure most of them have a grasp on what their job is, but between government cuts and just overall laziness of people at times, this can happen. So let's get into these two clips and let you hear some of the fors and against banning of fluoride in water.
Removing fluoride in all drinking water. It's a hot topic being debated on the local, national, and now the state level. Lawmakers in the House just passed legislation today that would ban fluoride across the state. News Channel 8's Capitol Bureau reporter Mackenzie Laporte takes a deeper dive into that debate.
Lawmakers in both the House and Senate passed what's being called the Farm Bill. It takes up a number of different issues, but one section in specific is being debated on the most. Should fluoride be in drinking water? And who gets to decide that? From the nation's health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., all the way down to the state's Surgeon General, Dr. Latipo, the trend to remove fluoride in drinking water has become a popular debate.
It makes no sense to have fluoride in our water.
Here at the state capitol, lawmakers went back and forth over concerns for and against fluoride.
Does the government have the right, by a mere simple majority vote, to put medicines and drugs and chemicals into your body that you did not consent to?
Sponsor of the House bill, Representative Danny Alvarez, says he isn't arguing against the benefits fluoride has for the body, but rather,
what we argue is that we can't force you to have it or any other drug that some simple majority may believe is good for you in the future.
However, Democrats across the aisle criticize Republicans' motive, saying politics is overriding common sense, pointing to concerns of higher health care costs and worsening health disparities for people who have less access to dental care.
Members, there is nothing friendly about cavities. Nothing friendly about cavities. Believe me, you don't want to do this statewide. You don't want to make this decision for every single person in the state. You want to leave control at the local level.
I'm very concerned that when you force local governments to remove this from the water systems, you're ignoring the will of their local constituents who want to keep it in the water system.
Even with the debate against the move, the bill still passed 88-27.
So the bill passes.
Florida would be the second state right behind Utah to ban fluoride if signed in by Governor Ron DeSantis. In Tallahassee, Mackenzie Laporte, 8 on your side.
A ban on fluoride in public water in Utah, and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s comments on the topic have really raised questions now about its safety and why it's used. 9 News medical expert Dr. Coley is joining us today to talk a little bit more about this controversy. Dr. Coley, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, this is a very important topic right now that a lot of people are weighing in on. Historically, what we have seen is that fluoride is in our drinking water, right?
Yeah, I mean, we added it in the 1940s, Jordan, and it's been
touted as one of the greatest public health accomplishments of the 20th century. And in fact, what it did is it reduced the rate of tooth decay, and it really evened the playing field in terms of having people have access to regular dental care. Even if they don't have it, it kind of made it so that they wouldn't have a high risk of tooth decay. So if you think about what fluoride does, is it protects our teeth in a few different ways. So first is it prevents demineralization. So it prevents kind of the breakdown of the enamel. Second is it actually promotes remineralization. So it puts enamel back onto our teeth, and it also has an antibacterial effect. So having it in the drinking water has really allowed many more people access.
Now, let me ask you, because of course everything you said is a big argument for proponents who want fluoride in the drinking water. If there is one day a time when we do not have it in our drinking water, is there another way that we can get fluoride?
So we think that about 75% of our fluoride comes from water and processed beverages like sodas and juices and such that are made with water that have it. About 25% comes from other sources, from the soil, from the environment. Even our fluoride toothpaste, in fact, in modern day America, provides us with fluoride. So most of it does come from the drinking water, but people who are sort of against the fluoride say perhaps we're getting too much and it's causing problems.
Okay, that's a good question right there. How much is too much? What is the amount that's actually needed for the health of your teeth?
So safe amounts in the water, which are, by the way, very closely monitored at the state level as well as the local level, are 0.7 parts per million. Now, what the studies have shown scientifically, and the reason this has become a debate, is that if you have double that, 1.5 parts per million, and live in an environment that has a lot of fluoride in the soil, you could potentially have kids that have lower IQ. So it's been associated with sort of neurodevelopmental problems. The American Cancer Society has also looked into whether or not it's associated with an increased risk of cancer, and that's not really panned out much. But if you get it in very high doses, it theoretically could have a risk of toxicity, which is why this whole debate has surfaced.
Now, oftentimes as we do our own research here, you will hear us say a lot, talk to your physician specifically about this. I'm just curious, because you obviously meet with a lot of doctors every day. Where do they, as well as the Public Health Organization, really stand on this debate?
So the American Dental Association, the CDC, and pretty much every public health organization says we should keep fluoride in the drinking water, because taking it out would be a huge step backwards. Now, I'll add a little asterisk or caveat to that, which is that the concentrations need to be really carefully monitored. Because it's really important for us to get some fluoride from our drinking water. But if we get too much, and if you look in countries like India, where they have soil that has more fluoride, you can potentially have adverse effects of too much fluoride. So as long as we're keeping those concentrations safe and accounting for the fact that in drier climates, people may be drinking more water. So you may need a different concentration in different parts of the country. But if that's happening, we need to keep it in the drinking water, because taking it out of the drinking water would be a huge step backwards in terms of what we've done for our oral health, and also really creating more of those socioeconomic disparities, because there are parts of the country that don't have access to dental care.
If you are someone, though, like you said, that maybe you get enough fluoride from other things and you want to kind of remove that drinking water aspect, how would you recommend, what are some alternatives that you would say?
So I would say do a couple of things. One is look on your kind of local website and see how much fluoride is in your drinking water that you drink. Second, try to consider alternative sources of water like bottled water that don't have fluoride added if you're concerned that you might be getting too much fluoride. But most importantly, talk to your dentist and talk to them about your sources of fluoride, whether it's from food or toothpaste or what have you. Because again, you don't want to get to the point where you're getting too little, because that can really affect our oral health.
I want to ask a quick question. Of course, a lot of people have, Brita filters and other kind of filtration systems. Does that keep the fluoride in the drinking water?
It does. Yeah. So it's a metal, and so usually can't get it out with those types of filtration systems. So you can't extract the fluoride out of the water like that.
We appreciate your time this morning, Dr. Coley. Thank you very much. And you can find all of Dr. Coley's appearances at 9news.com/Dr. Coley.
I am on the fence about this. Here's the thing. I grew up in a really poor area. Not everybody got the dental care in my area that would be necessary for people to have. But at the same time, I'm against nanny states. I'm against the government constantly pushing things onto people, even if it's for their own good, for the simple fact of that can turn around and bite people in the rear end. And that's exactly what I'm on the fence about. Yes, there are many positives about this, but I've also seen government failures on all levels. So I want to know what your take is on this. I've gotten some takes in a few of my recent articles that I've looked at it and I've gone, I completely disagree. But at the same time, I don't mind that people are disagreeing with me. That's the whole point of my channel. So, this has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.
So folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff.